1970s Space 1999 Eagle by Dinky Toys. It's one of my favorite toys. You can tell by how beat up it is. But one of my favorite people to watch on YouTube is Toy Polloy, and this is kind of his setup. But I had seen him repair his, and I'm not necessarily going to repair it. I'm just going to kind of clean it up. I'm going to wash it, clean up some of the stuff. There's some oxidization on the engines. I'm going to see if I can get that to be gone. There's some rust kind of oxidization on these landing pads. But this was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid. I've been getting into it again recently because I realized that I hadn't watched it since I was probably 8 years old, and just got into watching all of it again, and picked up a DVD set and have been watching them. And I just wanted to do, this is the one toy I have from then. I'd bought the MPC model kits back in the day, but I never could get them to stay together because they had this, where you did this part on the Eagle, it just always seemed to fall apart, that part of it. But the Dinky toy is solid metal, made in England, and has the little, this is actually two of the Dinky toys. This one, or the main part of this one, is was from the tanker that took the tanks, the nuclear waste tanks, and it had like a little thing here. And then they had another green Eagle that came with the actual cargo bay and the lab, which I always thought this was kind of cool because even though it's like a little Hot Wheels thing, it's got the stairs that you can go up and down, and you know, you can see straight through the Eagle if you did that, and which they do a lot in the movie. But have you heard of the TV show, and you can see Dinky Toys, but I always loved those funky doors that they had in Space 1999. But what I had done is there was the Eagle that came with this was actually green, and I had the green one, and I don't know what happened to the green one. I don't know what I ended up doing with that, but the green one's gone, and I just tried to make the white Eagle like on TV, and you press it down, and then the Eagle could fly off with the cargo bay. But anyway, it's very simple to take apart. I've seen Toy Polloy do it, and anyway, it's like just got screws. I just wanted to clean it up because if you actually get down in here, you can see the red mud where I used to bury this when I was probably 8 or 10 years old. And but this has always been one of my favorite toys. I know now they go for quite a lot, but it's just always been in my toy box, and where I've always kept it since back in the day. So I actually picked these up at a toy store in town that no longer exists. It was called Hobbies for Fun, and they had all of the Dinky toys, and they had this, they had the Interceptor from UFO, bought the Enterprise and the Klingon ship that they had. Really cool toys, made in England, but they were really tough and could stand up to anything. Thus, it's still here 50 years later, but just wanted to clean it up and see if we can make it look nice. So we're going to wash it in some warm soapy water, and might consider doing some touch up with the paint. Now these red stripes were decals, the dip in water decals that would slide off, so those will probably come off when I wash it. You see some of my little thrusters on the side have lost bits, but I just wanted to take it apart and clean it up and see what we can do with that. All right, here we go. washed the Eagle, and as you can see, it really helped it a lot. I don't really know what else I'm going to do to it. I was thinking about taking these screws out, and this metal stuff, as you can see, some of it is corroding a little bit, and maybe put it in some white vinegar and see if that helps it. I don't really want to repaint it, even though I've got like these, you know, where I dove bomb it when I was a kid, because every Eagle that you ever see on Space 1999 takes a head dive. But anyway, it's pretty straightforward as far as taking it apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that bad boy and some vinegar, and put some vinegar in this, and then maybe soak those screws for a little bit, and hopefully the white vinegar will take some of that rusty look off of it. Oh, comes right off. Oh, there's my little booster. And then I know there's a little metal plate in here. That actually looks pretty good. Be the little metal plate in there. And I see where they hook into the Eagles, kind of hook into that. You see that notch there? The little notch. They hook into that metal plate. Gives them those bouncy landing gear. So we'll put that in there. And then these little things are just little tabs. I did see that on some other fellows taking theirs apart. So it's just got those little tabs that'll take that lattice work off. Just turn it over ever so gently, because I kind of want to see. Well, they just fell right out. The little red booster rockets. And get that one out. And then these, you see it staying in there at that time, but these just like, because God knows how many times I've slammed that thing down. These are, oh, there it's popping off. And there you see a little more rust, decay towards it. See, there's got a little rust to it. That's what I was hoping the vinegar was going to get rid of. That's that part. Now, I've seen folks close these up and take the little booster rockets out. I don't really need to do that unless I just wanted to clean under it. I'm not painting it, so it should be fine. We'll finish this lattice work here. Take it off. There, that comes off. And then you can kind of see it's getting a little funky right there. And if you want to take the rest of it off, it's got screws there. Guess we'll turn it this way so I know what I'm doing. Which way everything went. See what's really going on with it. I was wondering how it was attached to that. Take this out, be our back bit. About the same. Now to get those, see how it was chrome? You can really see that. It was chrome. Might need to clean that in some way. We'll see if the vinegar helps that anyway. Used to have a professor that called it a knifey. That's what I always think of. I got my knifey. And anyway, he was in paste up. I actually studied graphic art, so he was in paste up. That's why I needed a knifey. Anyway, this is just flash. It's a normal flash that's on there. Okay. Engine side of things. I was noticing some of this lattice work has flash on it too. Like, you know, it's 50-year-old flash, but yeah, I did it. Anything to clean it up a little bit. Oh, that is where it was molded. Actually, this plastic on the lattice work looks really good. I'm going to put some vinegar in it to soak the engines. I'm going to stand them up in it. I guess stand them up in it like that so you get a better view. You see some of that rust that's on there. Let's see if that helps it a little bit. I think we're completely submerged. It's been 24 hours since I put the stuff in the, wow, look at that. Since I put this stuff in vinegar, and that's how much, wow, that's how much that vinegar has taken off of that. I gotta put that in some kind of like gravy boat or something to get that whole thing. I wasn't expecting that absolutely at all, and really kind of shocked that that's the case. Gonna have to get that to focus, but that's crazy. That's crazy. Look at that. That is crazy. Anyway, I noticed where I had, on this side over here, where I had put the half of the eagle, that to try to make that look better, I noticed how much silt and stuff is in that vinegar now that's come from just soaking these. And even if you look at the bottom of the engines, look how clean they look now. They look incredibly clean after that. It's really kind of weird. But I was just trying to lighten up that metal, and it apparently did. So really think I'm going to put this in for a total thing a little longer, because look at that. That is night and freaking day. I did clean all of this in, I'll do that so you can see it. Did clean all this in the vinegar. It did brighten everything up, and when I did that, it also had kind of a gray hue to it. So what I ended up doing was taking this miter and polishing them up. I actually used the wire brush first, and that helped a lot, and shined it up, but it did have kind of a gray coat to it. After I'd done it, I put a little metal polish on it, a little car polish, and then buffed them up. It definitely helped the engines. The engines look shiny. They were very dull. You can kind of see what the dull looked like a little bit in there. I did throw a lot of powder on it after I'd washed it, so I did kind of have to clean it up again. But the biggest thing was when I put it in the vinegar, I'd put this crossbar in the vinegar, but only put it up to here, and you can see where that original was, where it was in the vinegar just to there. And I did try to buff that out. It's not really going to show under the lattice work, I don't think, but it just looked so much cleaner. It did have a little bit of rust look to it, but took that wire brush to it from the miter. I just thought that was awful boring for you to watch me do. So just want to go ahead and say that's what actually happened, and going to put it all back together. It is quite fiddly with all this, so I guess what I need to do is, before I get too far into it, I think I need to attach that to this, and that would help. And I put those screws for that. You see the screws for these are shorter than the ones for this, so luckily I've kept those separate. I've figured that out by sheer frustration alone. So what we're going to do is we're going to attach this and get the that all together. There's my fiddly screw. A lot of fiddly screws in this, and hold this and do that, and I'm sure they had something set up a little easier than just doing it by hand like this. They probably did do it by hand, but they might have had something a little easier to do it with. the top bit. And like I say, these screws for these two parts are a lot longer. And they would not fit in the bottom of the Eagle because I thought all the screws were the same size. Ah ha ha ha. No. Not at all. So we'll get our bridge to our Eagle set. Make sure that those are, I mean, this thing looks crazy good compared to what it did. I mean, I cleaned all the, I used to bury it a lot when I was a kid because an Eagle always crashed. That was part of the show. You saw the Eagles crash into moon dust. I gotta get this lattice work around here a little gingerly. And I do think I'm going to end up buying one of the new MPC kits and using it. This is just one of my favorite shows. Still, going back and watching it, I mean, I know when the show first came out, I was, let's see, how old was I? I was 8, maybe, when the show first came out, and this was right before Star Wars. And I just love that show. I always have. And we had plenty of the Azrak, they had water pistols of the stun gun. They had Azrak Hamway is what I'm thinking of. They had those. They had these are rack toys. I remember they had like a stamp kit. They had all this stuff that, you know, the general slap a label on it. The little movie projector I believe they had, which was just like a film strip. And just making sure that that's in there. These landing gear have a little notch in them to hold them in. And so we got to do that. Then we got to put the little fiddly bit thrusters. And the thrusters kind of face down on the bottom half of the pods. So there's a little notch for them, but it's just right there. And so we got our, make sure I got my, this is so fiddly. Make sure I got my Eagle net stuff in. I guess you can do it for each side. Maybe that's how these factory workers did this back in the day. As you're doing one side at a time, so watch the lattice work, watch the thrusters. Too many things to watch. And I don't know, well, that's my thruster. That thruster's okay. This thruster, not so much. Come on, thruster. Quite fiddly. Come here, thruster. There we go. OMG. OMG, do I have it? Do I have everything in? I believe I do. Oh my god. Oh my god. Somebody call Victor Bergman. Tell him I'm getting this Eagle ready. Anyway, I loved Victor as a character, and I was really kind of shocked when the second season came and Victor wasn't in it. I was kind of hurt. And they never explained it, of course, as you know. But I also liked Maya. I thought Maya was neat. And I never, even as a kid though, I never even realized that Maya's father was Brian Blessed until years later, I guess, when Flash Gordon come out. And so that was always kind of, it's funny what you remember and what you don't, or you ignore and what you don't. So now, after all that, here's this cleaned. I didn't really restore any of that or repaint it. Like I said, this is mine that I had as a kid. and I didn't really paint or do anything. But there, after all that, and see, you still see my little nose digs as a kid, but it is incredibly cleaner than it was. So I know that was a long and tedious process. You're probably as fed up with it as more than I am. I was really enjoying it, but got everything in, got my thrusters back, lattice work, but I didn't want to repaint it. I think if you buy the kits, then you can paint the kits the way you want. And I had already switched the Dinkies because that came with the green eagle. But anyway, there it is. It's the final thing. So we will sit it down there, let you, I guess I can just turn it around. You've been seeing me turn it around, and you can just enjoy the craftsmanship of the Dinky Toys. I mean, made in England. But anyway, there it is. Looking pretty good after 40 some years. Because I do remember I got this way after the show went off the air. It was at a hobby shop that was in town, and they had already the show was already off the air by then. So it was probably like 1980 or 81 that I picked it up. But anyway, there is the Space 1999 Eagle transport. One of the most favored spaceships in the history of sci-fi. So pretty cool. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for putting up with me and through this thing. It may not seem that long, but there you go.